Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. All praise be to Allah. May peace and blessing be upon our Prophet Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, honorable speakers, thank you for joining us today on our book launch. So today we are going to witness the launching of the book Growth of Islamic Banking in Indonesia, Theory and Practice, which is written by Dr. Sigit Pramono and Professor Yasushi Suzuki. The book shows up in the right momentum, actually, because after existing for more than 3 decades, with the big potential of Muslim community in Indonesia, how come the market share of Islamic banks in Indonesia only reaches more or less 6%? That's one of the big puzzles discussed in the book. Besides that, the book also focuses on the contemporary and crucial issues, which makes it more interesting to read. Present with us today are some prominent speakers. In the studio, we have Dr. Sigit Pramono. Assalamualaikum, Dr. Sigit.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
We also have Mr. Aris Hermawan. Assalamualaikum, Mr. Aris. And on Zoom, we also have Professor Dr. Yasushi Suzuki. Okay. And
Hello. Yes. Selamat pagi.
Good morning, Professor.
Yeah, good morning.
Thank you for joining us. And we also have Dr. Muhammad Daud Bakar. Assalamualaikum, Dr. Daud. Oh, okay. He will join us soon, I guess. And then we also have Mr. Kemal Aziz Tam. Assalamualaikum, Pak Kemal.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you for joining us, Pak Kemal. And we also have Dr. Suminto. Assalamualaikum, Dr. Suminto. Oh, he will be with us soon. Okay, so those speakers will deliver their keynote address soon. And of course, besides them, we also have an honorable remarks, which is going to be conveyed by Professor Dr. Doro Jatun Kunchoro Jakti. Today's program is jointly organized by SEBI Social Funds, KNEKS, Badan Wakaf Indonesia, IAEI, FEB UIN, Jakarta, Pusat Ekonomi dan Bisnis Syariah UI, Pusat Studi Kajian Timur Tengah dan Islam Universitas Indonesia, PSKTTI SKSG UI. So today, besides listening to the keynote addresses, we are also going to have a book discussion with also several outstanding speakers. And by the end of our session later on, we're also going to have a book sale in which the royalty of the book sale will go to Wakaf for education. All right, to get the blessings of our event today, let us listen to the Quran recitation, which will be performed by Sukur Penerangan Hasibuan Al-Hafiz and Tazkiyah Nazla Maliha. So for your information, both of them are recipients of scholarships to study at SEBI School of Islamic Economics. To Brother Sukur and Sister Tazkiyah, the floor is yours.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
A'udzu billahi minasy syaithanir rajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Allahu nurus samawati wal ardh. مثل نور كمشكاة فيها مصباح المصباح في زجاجة الزجاجة كأنها كوكب دري يوقد كوكب دري يوقد من شجرة مباركة زيتونة من شجرة مباركة زيتونة لا شرقية ولا غربية يكاد زيتها يضيء ولو لم تمسسه نار نور على نور يهدي الله لنوره من يشاء ويضرب الله الأمثال للناس والله بكل شيء عليم في بيوت أذن الله أن ترفع ويذكر فيها اسمه يسبح له فيها بالغدو والآصال رجال لا تلهيهم تجارة ولا بيع عن ذكر الله وإقام الصلاة وإيتاء الزكاة يخافون يوما تتقلب فيه القلوب يوم تتقلب فيه القلوب والأبصار صدق الله العظيم.
In the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful. Allah is the light of the heaven and the earth. The parable of the light is as a niche, and within it a lamp. The lamp is in a glass. The glass, as it were, a star durian, lit from the blast tree, an olive, neither of the east nor of the west, whose oil will almost glow for, though no fire touched it. Light upon light, Allah guides to his light whom he wills, and Allah sets forth parables for mankind. And Allah is all-knower of everything. In houses which Allah has ordered to be raised, in them his name is remembered. Therein glorify him in the mornings and in the evenings. Men whom neither trade nor business diverts from the remembrance of Allah, nor from performing the salah, nor from giving the zakah, they fear a day when hearts and eyes will be overturned. Allah Almighty speaks the truth. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you so much, Brother Sukur and Sister Taskia. Ladies and gentlemen, now time for us to listen and sing to our national anthem, Indonesia Raya. Okay, thank you. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to have a photo session. So usually photo session takes the last part of the program, but we are going to do it at the beginning of the program, so everybody's there. So would you please open your camera so we can take a photograph of you? Right, 1, 2, 3. Got it? Okay, 1, 2, 3. Another one. Yes. Okay. Another one. Okay. Okay. Oh, I see Ustaz Muslih right there.
Alhamdulillah.
Okay. All right, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to begin our program now. Thank you. So this program is supported by Yakasma, Wakaf Sukses, Indonesia Wakaf, Republika Wakaf Partner, Forum Wakaf Produktif, Yayasan Biman, Bank Permata Syariah, dan Bank PBS. All right, we are now going to go to the next session. That is the one that we have been to the honorable remark, which is going to be delivered by Professor Jakti. Professor Dr. Jakti is Emeritus Professor, Faculty of Economics and Business, University of Indonesia, and he has recorded his speech in a very good video. So please let's listen to his speech.
Ladies and gentlemen, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. A very good morning to all of you. On this occasion of the book launching, I would like to share with you an episode which I experienced a long time ago. It was in the aftermath of a cordial and quite a long conversation between President Clinton and President Abraham Wahid Gusdur in the Oval Office of the White House sometime in year 99, when President Clinton said to Gusdur, Mr. President, I wish Indonesia a great success. A successful Indonesia will help to characterize the 21st century. Indonesia is now the world's third largest democracy. Indonesia has the world's largest Muslim population. If Indonesia can show to the world that Islam and democracy are compatible, you show us the way. The chat continued as President Clinton accompanied Gusto to the limousine. As ambassador to Washington, D.C., I walked not very far behind both of them. It was Gusdur's second courtesy call to President Clinton, which I have to formally arrange. This time it was on his way to the United Nations to present a speech in the UN conference on, if I'm not wrong, dialogue among civilizations. It was with this fond memory in the period of 2001 2004 as the coordinating minister for economic affairs in President Megawati Sukarno Putri's cabinet. And long afterwards, I was challenged by the thought of how Indonesia could also take active part in the development of Islamic business and finance to bring it into the rising globalized economy as a way to introduce the Islamic equitable growth strategy of development. I am much encouraged to witness the fact that both the development of thinking as well as the initiatives by now have reached a commendable level, not only in the Islamic world but also beyond. This book on Islamic banking, co-authored by Mr. Sigit Pramono and Professor Yasushi Suzuki, present the case of Indonesia. Here, an analysis is presented with regards to the challenges as well as responses encountered in the endeavors by all stakeholders. I'm certain lessons can be learned from this analysis so as to enrich our journey into the future. May I take this opportunity to convey much congratulations to both authors, and I hope that we will continue with presenting more theories and sharing experiences in the near future. Thank you very much for your kind attention. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay, thank you so much, Professor Dr. Jatun Gunjoro Jakti, for the remarks. Okay, so let me outline a little about what he just said. So the point is that he highly supports and appreciates the movement that we are doing today. And as a proof of this support, he also gave the forward to the book that Dr. Sigit and Professor Yasu Suzuki wrote. All right, now, next, we will move on to the next keynote address. So the first keynote address will be delivered by Professor Dr. Yasu Suzuki. Um, Professor Suzuki is one of the writers of the book, and he's also a professor at the American Asia Pacific University, Japan. Let me greet him for a while. Professor Suzuki, how are you?
Thank you very much. So, selamat pagi.
Selamat pagi, Professor.
Yeah, can you hear me?
The floor is yours, Professor. Go ahead.
Okay, good. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, so Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam.
It's a great honor to be invited today to the book launch event on growth of Islamic banking, Indonesia, which was recently published from Routledge. First of all, so I wish to thank all the staff of SEBI School of Islamic Economics for kindly coordinating today's event. Terutama Bapak Doni, terima kasih ya. So I'm Yasushi Suzuki, so the co-author of this book. So perhaps I should not be a guest because I'm the co-author of this book. I would have to hear many critiques on our book from the distinguished guests and the scholars here. Therefore, I'm afraid that I'm not the right person to deliver one of the keynote speeches. However, please allow me to take this opportunity to touch on the possible contribution of this book before having critiques from the participants of this event. First, I believe that this book contributes to making sense of the extraordinary low penetration of Islamic banking in Indonesia. Though Indonesia is the largest Muslim majority nation all over the world, why is the market share of Islamic banks in Indonesia extraordinarily low? This is a big puzzle, not only the academic debate, but also in the practitioner's debate. In order to become prudent and Sharia-compliant fund providers, Islamic banks must earn the profit enough to compensate the transaction cost of Sharia compliance while competing with conventional banks who do not have to take care of the Sharia compliance. Our research is supportive for the concept of Islamic bank grant, in which Islamic banks need to earn extra profit to become prudent and Sharia compliant fund providers. In our analysis, Indonesia's Islamic banks fail to earn the Islamic bank grant, which is one of the root causes of the extraordinarily low penetration of Islamic banking in Indonesia. Second, I believe that this book contributes to offering a number of evidences for the need of governmental initiatives of incubating Islamic banking in Indonesia. Dr. Sigit well traced how the regulatory framework for incubating Islamic banking has been evolving in Indonesia in this book, while comparing the case of Malaysia. Probably a certain level of competition among the neoliberalism observed in the current regulatory framework for banking in Indonesia is necessary. However, the government should have sought for an optimal balance between conventional and Islamic banking from the perspective of facilitating more funds from Muslim investors, which would be contributing to the society's growth and development, resulting in benefiting not only Muslim, but also non-Muslim people in Indonesia. This book contributes to give a warning to a naive expectation of the current neoliberal regulations on banking in Indonesia. Third and lastly, in a chapter of this book, we offer the idea of introducing that Raf al-Haraj, removal of hardship benchmark, into the process of Sharia compliance. The Sharia compliant benchmark is a necessary condition for approving all the banking transactions by Islamic banks. However, in our view, the Sharia compliant benchmark is not always a sufficient condition because usurious trade is not yet prohibited, even in Muslim majority nations, while usually in terms of unacceptable interest is legally prohibited widely all over the world. In short, the markup pricing of murabaha may possibly exploit the borrowers if the markup level is usurious. I believe that this idea of introducing the Rafal Haraj benchmark will bring a new angle to the debate on that prohibition river. I must stop my keynote speech here, so I look forward to hearing your critiques on our book. Finally, so I wish to put my remark. My contribution to this book is limited. This book is the result of that achievement of Sigit's doctoral research, as well as of the achievement of Rufida, his wife, and their family for supporting his doctoral research in Japan. I'm more than happy to see that their achievement is actually realized in the form of this book. So congratulations and thank you very much, and terima kasih banyak.
Sama-sama, Bro. Terima
Thank you so much, Professor Suzuki. Congratulations to you too and Dr. Sigit. Okay.
Yeah, thank
All
you
right.
very much. Yeah, terima kasih
Okay.
banyak ya.
Okay. We will move on to the second keynote speech, which is going to be delivered by Bapak Kemal Aziz Tambul. Okay. Assalamualaikum Pak Kemal.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you for joining us, Pak Kemal.
Thank you.
Bapak Kemal Aziz Tambul is the President Commissioner of PT BTPN Syariah. Okay, so he's going to deliver the keynote speech right now. Okay, so Pak Kemal, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'm sorry, but the voice is not smooth. It got cut off in some way. Is it okay now? Can anyone hear me?
Yes, we can hear you clearly.
Okay, but you know the sound is not very perfect in this case. Well, may I just greetings to Professor Dorojatun. I know Dato Muhammad Daud Bakar is supposed to be here. I haven't seen him. But also my colleague, Dr. Suminto, who is supposed to be here as well, but not yet here. But allow me to greet the co-authors, Dr. Sigit Pramono, and also Professor Dr. Suzuki. Dr. Suzuki, it's been quite a while. We met about a couple of years ago
Yeah, sure.
in Jakarta.
Ya, terima kasih.
It was a good meeting.
Yeah,
And
it was
surprised that
very
I'm
good.
invited here to speak.
Oh,
And
no.
of course, I hope, as you mentioned, that there will be a much more deeper discussion that will be led by our colleague, Dr. Rifki Ismail, Mr. Erwin, is a friend of mine as well, and Ibu Rahmatina, and also Professor Dr. Eis. I hope they will, of course, discuss in much deeper. I'm just basically, just to be participating in this launch, and I'm honored to be invited to speak. And this book, Growth of Islamic Banking in Indonesia, Theory and Practice, is a very, very, I would say, interesting and also informative book. And I would like to congratulate the authors that has done this, because the launch is quite timely as well, because during this time, the activity of Bank Syariah is very much giving a focus by the government. And I think we all know that, this book, in a way, opens our eyes to the issues, to the questions that always been in our mind. Why Indonesia, as the greatest Muslim country, despite the fact that there are already so many regulatory initiatives that has been implemented, which I think is the purpose for those regulations are to facilitate and support Islamic bank as an industry. And it has been developed for almost 25 years. But in reality, the Islamic financial growth here in Indonesia is less than expected. Yeah, I have to speak slowly, perhaps, so that I can hear myself. I think this book, when I read it, it described what are the root causes of this stagnation in the development of the Islamic Bank, and also the reasons of all kinds of conditions that actually, in my view, is slowing the pace of its development. But to be fair, since a couple of years, to be exact, probably in the last 2 years, there has been a change in the whole situation, because I see that the government has already taken the step as suggested in the book as well, where one of the things to make the leap is to create a large Islamic bank. And the government has already merged 3 government banks, Bank Syariah Mandiri, Bank BRI Syariah, and Bank BNI Syariah, to become one bank called Bank Syariah Indonesia. In fact, the next beginning of February, they will launch officially as a new bank called Bank Syariah Indonesia. And I have to congratulate the government of their also concern and understanding they need a large bank that has a significant position in this domain of industry. And I think unless we have such a bank, I don't think it will be at par with the competition with the conventional bank. I think hopefully the intention is this new bank will be capitalized on the scale as well as the possibility of technical efficiency, which is accumulated as a merged big bank. And I'm sure if they are moving at the right pace, this can contribute as a player that will provide a kind of level playing field to play in competition with the conventional bank. You know, what, why that this book interests me when reading is that it provides a lot of explanation from the beginning. What are the things that needs to be reviewed and what are the things to be taken and understood in implementing the Sharia bank. Just to give a little bit of a layman perspective, because I'm not a academician, I'm just a practitioner. And basically, a Sharia bank is set up is on how we can make life easier and we can do to make this effort as something that is actually very important. For example, uh, Sharia is actually built on a foundation that emphasizes on the welfare for the people. And therefore, this welfare actually creates the understanding of what can be developed in terms of justice on being a fair and wise well-being. That's why I think the primary purpose of the implementation of Sharia, known as Muqasid al-Sharia in human life, is very closely related to the concept of maslahah, or the public interest of benefits. And the purpose is to assist realization of social economic justice and to preserve welfare and the livelihood of the people. And also interesting, in the, if I'm not mistaken, it's on chapter 10. You wrote something about hypothesis explaining low penetration of Indonesia Islamic Bank using the benchmark of Sharia based on Rafa al-Haraj and also the Sharia compliant, in this case on prohibition of riba. I would like to emphasize that fundamental challenge for Islamic Bank is how to be able to create benefits for the community. So there is a need to have some sort of social impact to the society. For example, if we provide services, especially to our poor people or near poor people, this emphasize a new kind of framework where the basic principle in Islamic law is to facilitate taisir or climate unnecessary trouble, or we removing of the hardship, raf al haraj. So I think in today's situation, those principles on prohibition of riba is still being upheld as the principle. But but there must be a way how we can create position to make it easier for people to understand and how to deal with this kind of prohibition. One or the other thing that is being explained in your book is that uh, this is an interpretation of a practitioner. The approach of selecting and understanding to be applied into the market has to be relevant and acceptable to the customer. And this is about creating benefit. And therefore, you may probably introduce segmentation in approaching the society. So perhaps in your proposal, the government can establish a specialized Islamic bank upon some sort of a government initiative that is focused on certain area or certain segment. So all in all, we expect not only to maximize the economic growth, uh, but also I think the wealth and consumption, but also contribute for the well-being of all in establishing society prosperity. It means that the potential of zakat, wakaf, sukuk, and everything else can contribute to the blended of optimum financing. And I think the examples of this, you have to be able to develop a product that can serve and provide benefit for those who are trying to participate in the Sharia atmosphere. So this segmentation is very, very important because the interpretation of implementing the product is quite different in different segments. Hence, I would like to say, of course, that we still need the government to provide the bank rent condition, which I think required, because we are facing not an easy arena in dealing with the competition of with the conventional bank. And they have been established longer and, of course, better capacity. So we need some more incentives to be given to the new players so that they can incubate their product properly. And I also agree that you mentioned in the epilogue of this book that at the end that we must try not to be trapped in a diminishing equilibrium by their Sharia compliance. And to some extent, we hope that technology and also the new approach on the FATMA and the model of Sharia financial institution can also be reducing the transaction cost for Sharia compliance.
Yes.
So I think the Islamic mode of finance is expected to contribute not only to facilitating material prosperity, but also enhancing people's quality of life in realizing what they can achieve. So it means that the purpose of a Sharia bank is not just to focus on wealth distribution, but also assist people in creating wealth or wealth creation process. And I think it is the main message I can gather from this book. So most of the content of this book is reflecting a journey of how Bank Syariah has to develop itself in this new modern world. And we hope that the government can provide continuous support for the bank to learn and to be able to incubate and develop all the new products to be understood by the society in a positive way. Can I have just 2 minutes to share my experience with my BTPN Syariah? We have made serious effort to turn Sharia Bank into a bank that focuses on serving the productive poor segment of families. It is long process because it needs to be accompanied by developing a program on empowerment activities, increase skills, and opening opportunity so that they can grow and become inspiring other. This series of action, methods, and processes in providing services to this underprivileged customer are specific and are designed in such a way that they can apply it effectively. Of course, in doing this is not only constrained by remote areas, inadequate infrastructure, often becomes a challenge to reach their existence. So it is not an easy way, and it requires careful planning, and it requires readiness to be able to build an ecosystem, not only in the form of product and services, but also availability of proper facilities, infrastructure, both customer and the operations in the field. So in changing the lives of millions of Indonesia in this segment, the role of Sharia ecosystem through empowerment activities makes productive underprivileged customer to have a perspective and new behaviors that enable themselves to lead a more meaningful life. It shows that Sharia principles have strong foundation that can be applied in society where the needs are being addressed accordingly. Therefore, I'm confident and optimist that the future is bright. We need affirmative action of the government in supporting and allows innovations that are relevant to today's situation and demand. I think I have said what I can cover in a very quick reading of the book. Allow me also to welcome other speakers from this session to provide a much deeper sort of debate and also insight uh, about this book. So thank you very much for listening. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much, Pak Kemal, for sharing with us. Okay, so the point is that Islamic banks should create positive impact. Okay, so the impact should be social and economic welfare to all people, especially the community. All right, we will go on to the next to the second keynote address, which is delivered by Datuk Dr. Muhammad Daud Bakar. Assalamualaikum, Dr. Muhammad Daud Bakar.
Yeah. Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam.
Now?
Thank you for joining us, Datuk. So
Yeah.
let me introduce a little about Datuk Dr. Muhammad Daud Bakar. So he is the president of International Islamic University of Malaysia. Datuk Daud Bakar, is yours. Datuk, can you hear me?
Yeah. It was
Oh, yeah.
it was breaking up just now.
Oh, I'm sorry. So, yes, go ahead, Datuk. Please give us some perspective.
Should I call you back because the line is not that stable?
Datuk, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now, but it was breaking up.
It's breaking up. Okay. So go ahead, Datuk. We can hear you loud and clear from here.
Okay, very good. Okay, if I may start, okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulihi al-amin, Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Thank you very much for having me in this great morning. We are celebrating the birth of a very interesting entitled Growth of Islamic Banking in Indonesia, Theory and Practice. It is a great day to see this book being published At the same time, today, the Indonesian government is launching the National Wakaf Uang, also the thing of the economy Sharia. So it's a very interesting day for me to be in this session as well as in witnessing the activity of Indonesian government. As for the book is very, I'm not sure whether you hear me before I proceed further.
Yes, we can hear you, Dato. Yes, Dato, we can hear you clearly from here.
Are you okay? Um, Basically, the book is very special because the book about the theme of the growth of Islamic banking, and also the book is also about Indonesia, which is the powerhouse of Asia. So this is something interesting to see how Indonesia would become, is becoming now, and would become one of the most one of the most active and most rapid growth of economy and banking in the region. And the third element, why the book is so important, because the authors, the book has two authors. One is from Japan, respected and esteemed Professor Suzuki, and another up-becoming scholar in Indonesia, Dr. Sigit Paramono. So the combination of the two minds, one from the Far East, very Far East, and one from Indonesian market, is a good hybrid of the two great minds coming together to write something in this book. The third element, why the book is so important, is about the methodology of the presentation of the narrative of the book. I'm very much impressed and happy and excited to see that the authors have adopted a very uh, interesting methodology of research in order to write. The methodology has been very much investigating, unlocking, and a bit courageous to unlock the real or the potential issues on the ground. And this makes the book very much fresh, if you like, very much desirable because it challenges your mind as you read through the facts, the numbers, the development of the industry. Then we can also see the active mind behind the book, which is very, very powerful, very, very informative and insightful. The last or the fourth and the last element I would like to speak in this short session, the book is also about the future. So once we talk about the futurist uh, theme of the book, then the book is very much relevant for many, many years to come. And I'm excited to listen from many other keynote speakers just now, and perhaps the discussion a bit later to see the value of the book in the case of Indonesia market in particular and the other market in general. I would like to end my speech by congratulating the speakers, by congratulating the authors for their excellent writing, for their courage, having mental courage to share and to put on the main stage many relevant issues as we move on. My hope that the authors can continue writings in the near future by focusing on Islamic capital market, as Islamic capital market is much more powerful than effect banking to help funding the economic activities of Indonesia, the powerhouse of Asia. With that, I would like to thank everyone for having me in this opportunity. I can realize the sound is not good. Better stop at the moment because the breaking voice will not be comfortable to everyone. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Alhamdulillah.
Thank you so much, Dr. Daud Berkat, for sharing his thoughts about okay. And this, yeah, we also hope that there will be more Dr. Hopefully, this will also inspire other writers to produce the same thing and to do the project, okay, or have a project with us. Hopefully, many other writers inspired to do this. Okay. The next speaker will be Mr. Sumento. Okay. Dr. Sumento, can you? Assalamualaikum, Dr. Sumento.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Alhamdulillah. Okay. Thank you for joining us.
Alhamdulillah.
So, Dr. Sumento is Minister for Macroeconomy and International Finance, Ministry of Finance, Republic of Indonesia. So, Dr. Sumento, the
Sorry, I can't hear you.
Can you hear me? Dr. Sumento?
Okay.
Can you hear my voice? Right, Dr. Sumento, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillahirrahmanirrahim. Wassalatu wassalamu ala asrafil anbiya wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in amma ba'd. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, Alhamdulillah, it is my privilege to be invited in this book launch titled Growth of Islamic Banking of Indonesia, Theory and Practice, authored by Professor Yasushi Suzuki and Dr. Sigit Ramano. In fact, Dr. Sigit Pramono is my long friend, while Professor Yasushi Suzuki is my former PhD supervisor. So I'm very close to the authors. And to some degree, I'm very familiar with the thought and the what so-called uh, approach of Dr. Sigit Pramono and Yasushi Suzuki with respect to the Islamic finance. Ladies and gentlemen, after the ratification of Law Number 12, year 2008, concerning Islamic banking, we witnessed that the development of Indonesia's banking, Islamic banking industry was accelerated, and the government and authorities are committed in developing further the Islamic banking. As has been mentioned by Pak Kemal, that recently the government has launched the merge of the Islamic bank owned by the government, namely Bank Syariah sendiri, BRI Syariah, and BNI. I believe that it is one important milestone in developing Islamic banking to next step. As you may aware that the government also just recently launched Komite Nasional Ekonomi Keuangan Syariah KNEKS, chaired directly by Pak Presiden. With the objective to accelerate, expand, and advance the development of Islamic economy and finance in the country. Even in the same time now, Pak Presiden, Pak Wapres, and related ministers and authorities launching the national initiative of cash wakaf in the palace, an initiative aiming to develop further the initiative on cash wakaf as an important element of Islamic philanthropy or social Islamic finance. In this opportunity, I wish to note that our strategic program to develop Islamic banking and finance industry should provide a constructive initiative for two main things. First, it is time to conduct a comprehensive research on how Islamic finance, respect Islamic banking industry would contribute to alleviating poverty, increasing the welfare, and realizing the social justice to the people. And secondly, it's time to encourage the banking industry to challenge the creative destruction in terms of computer. to respond to mode of banking upon innovative financial products and technologies. Islamic banking industry is also expected to respond to the new mode of banking uh, practices. This book proposes such a perspective that Islamic bank must earn the extra profit, that is Islamic bank rent, so as to become prudent Sharia compliant bank. This proposal is suggestive, considering how Indonesia Islamic bank are going to respond to the new mode of the banking business model. I believe that this book will lead to a significant debate on the role of financial sector to incubate and develop the Islamic banking industry in Indonesia. Finally, I would like to congratulate Dr. Sujit Kamono and Professor Yasushi Suzuki for their excellent academic work. Hopefully, this worth reading book can contribute as a useful academic discourse in filling the lack of research and publication on Islamic economic finance and supporting the development of Islamic banking industry in the future. I'm stopped here. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi
Okay. Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much, Dr. Suminto, for your speech. So, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests and honorable speakers, I'm very excited to tell you KB Social Fund is a Nazir Wakaf under Bina Sakofa Foundation, and it Badan Wakaf Indonesia. This action is a project contributes to Wakaf development in Indonesia. I'm happy to Nawab, the director of Safety Social Fund, to tell us more about the project.
Would like to thank the and then for the royalty of the book, and my opinion, we started the innovation of program before we encourage intellectuality of one academic program, and we are able of those economics and finance
witness of royalty conduct to okay, the on behalf of the Thank you so much. Also, please announce that and it's a social fund. One of them is will also the symbol between social fund. Will include a manifestation of a project. Miss will be by Mr. Haris Tambo. Herwin Gustama. Thank you. Are you there? Herwin? Would congratulate Pratas being appointed by the religious affairs as to wakaf. To support number of votes, it would be an of Islamic and it's about we yes, to share the and then share to from the project.
Okay, I can hear you now.
All right. Okay. Okay, let me just introduce you to the audience. So, Mr. Herwin Bustaman. Hello?
Yeah, okay, I can hear you now, but the line is breaking up.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it's breaking up. Sorry.
Okay.
Hello?
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 Yeah, can you hear me? Hello?
Go ahead, Pak.
Hello?
Okay, this is the problem.
Should I just leave and rejoin again?
Okay, Pak Herwin, the floor is yours. Pak, floor is yours.
Okay.
Go ahead, Pak.
Okay, yeah, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. The Honorable Prof. Darujatun, Pak Kemal, Dr. Daud Bakar, Dr. Suminto, and the authors, Prof. Zulkifli and also Dr. Sigit Pramono. It is an honor to have been invited and speak for view on the book titled The Growth of Islamic Banking in Indonesia and Theory and Practice. I think this book actually addressed the million-dollar questions from the practicums, on why the market share of Islamic banking in Indonesia is still at 6% to the Muslim population in the exactly how why also still being behind to the neighboring countries such as Malaysia. Uh, for me, I think the book is easy to follow, understand, bring uh, this and to it, and in the book uh, but it's now I think there are several in terms of understanding the customer preferences and behavior. In the book stated or introduced a terminology Sharia loyalist, maybe we can actually identify the actual preferences among the Sharia loyalists or even the floating mass closer to Sharia. And also understanding the barrier to entry from this segment, the floating mass closer to Sharia, on why they are not actually using the Sharia services and products. I think those are the key issues that I just want to highlight. We'll be open for questions during the Q&A sessions. Hello?
Yes, yes, sir. We can hear you.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, I will pass on to you again.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Herwin Bustaman, Director of PT Bank Permata Tbk Syariah Business Division. Thank you for sharing with us. The next one, we will have Dr. Rifki Ismail. Okay, Dr. Rifki, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Assalamualaikum. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, loud and clear, sir. So, Dr. Rifki Ismail is the Director of Islamic Economic and Finance Department, Bank Indonesia. So, Dr. Rifki, the floor is yours.
Yes. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
First of all, Honorable Professor Dorojatun, Mr. Kemal Stambul, Dr. Daud Bakar, my colleagues, also Dr. Minto, and also the authors of the book, my fellows Professor Yasushi Suzuki, and then Dr. Sigit, also my fellow panelists. Thank you so much for having me in the event. First of all, as other speakers, I would like to congratulate and commend a great contribution of the book with regard to the economic finance. Because of some reason, as also mentioned by the other speakers, the book examines essential reason and assessment on factors affecting the growth of Islamic banking in Indonesia. Also, particularly compares the development and growth of Islamic banking in Malaysia. So I think if I'm not wrong, yeah, I really found a book particularly assessing the growth of Islamic bank in Indonesia and Malaysia. It is very unique, and of course it will contribute and also give some suggestion for improvement of Islamic banking development in Indonesia. However, if we may see, and also as a input for the book, yeah, the government of Indonesia and all stakeholders in Indonesia on Islamic finance, we have identified some fundamental factors that limit the development of Islamic banks in Indonesia. First, Indonesia previously concentrated its efforts on developing Islamic banking as an institution, but not as an ecosystem and not in the Islamic value chain. So we merely focus on Islamic bankruptcy, yeah? While we need to broaden, we need to enlarge our scope of development. That is one very good message from a lesson learned. Yeah? Secondly, previously we only also concentrated our development on Islamic commercial sector, while commercial finance can be left behind, or they do contribute, but less supported by the authorities or the stakeholders of Islamic finance. Thirdly, Islamic finance is positioned outside of the economic policy. And then fourthly, there is no single national and international level of Islamic finance literacy recognized globally. But nowadays, we are, alhamdulillah, see that some improvement have been taking place here. First, Indonesia is now accelerating not only Islamic banking, but also Islamic economy. Of course, we also target the development of halal industry and even larger Islamic ecosystem with the focus on Islamic value chain. Even we go beyond than Islamic ecosystem. We attempt to have Islamic lifestyle. So we are going to make human life as an Islamic. So everything Islamic, that is our focus. So this kind of improvement, I believe, are not captured yet in the book. And then also the government has had a robust collaboration with Basnas, Badan Amil Zakat Nasional, also the National Alcohol Body, DWI, to not only foster the collection, distribution, and utilization of the Islamic social funds, but to include Islamic social fund as one of the government policy. It is very tremendous innovation, very tremendous contribution of Islamic finance in Indonesia. So it is now a social finance has been recognized as one of the contributors in Indonesia economic development. We notice the issuance of cash wakaf link sukuk program, yeah, under Sukuk Wakaf Indonesia or Sukuk Wakaf Retail, which note the issuance of the first government sukuk with social mechanism, yeah, Islamic social mechanism, which I believe cannot be found in other countries. It's very interesting. So if the book can have a second version or an extension analysis later on, I would love to have this kind of improvement, yeah, captured in the analysis of the book. And then, as we know, that Indonesia is now having the Indonesia Sharia Economic Festival, the both national and international platform, yeah, to not only promote the development, the achievement, the prestige of Indonesia Islamic economy, but also try to sound more tremendously to the world that Indonesia is now having a lot of innovation and even try to lead the development of Islamic finance in the world. So ISAF, if I say that, is the international. For the national platform, we have the national ISAF, and for the regional level, we have what do we call Festival of Sharia Economic or FESHAR. In provincial level, we have the World to FESHAR. So Alhamdulillah, right now, we are not only having a faster development of Islamic finance, but also kind of platform, yeah, platform to promote, yeah, to give information, but also to have uh, very excessive transactions in Islamic economy. So like in the previous ISAF, yeah, 2009, we had a transaction of 2.2 billion US dollar halal contract, halal business deals in the event. So it is a very remarkable achievement. But then with the Malaysian, yes, we in some part we can compare with the Malaysian, but my notes are first, Muslims are not a dominant population in Malaysia. It is not like Indonesia, but the Malaysian government tends to make a Muslim as a community who have their own and robust financial system based on Islam. So this is one of the intention of the Malaysian government. So despite having less dominant or not a dominant population in Malaysia, but Muslims in Malaysia tend to show that we have our own system, which is very robust and which contribute to the national economic development in Malaysia. So it is not happening in Indonesia, yeah, because Indonesia Muslim is the Muslim majority community. Yeah? And then secondly, there was an instruction coming from the head of the country in Malaysia to put the majority of state budget in Islamic bank. So the majority of government budget are allocated or managed in Islamic bank, which is not the case in Indonesia. So of course, with this second type of characteristic, it is not comparable. If we just compare Indonesia and Malaysia in terms of the management of fund. Yeah. And then the last but not the least, Malaysia Sharia view on Islamic finance are known to be more open and accommodative than other countries. Yeah, like Indonesia is a more kind of selective in accepting certain contracts. Yeah, while Malaysia is more open and accommodative. So, of course, in terms of the Sharia view, again, it cannot be compared between Indonesia and Malaysia. But of course, in other aspect, we can compare them. So, but in other aspect, we cannot compare them head to head. Yeah, and then also, despite comparing Indonesia and Malaysian Islamic banks, some notes can also be given. Yeah, first, Islamic banks are not considered as a competitor of the conventional banks. So we are not coming to compete the conventional banks, but we are coming to be in hand with conventional banks to serve the economy. So it may not be correct if we just want to compete the conventional bank and wants to be the largest banking system in Indonesia. That is not the case. Yeah. As being said by Excellency Vice President of Indonesia, Islamic economy is a new wave in Indonesia. Arus baru ekonomi Indonesia, a new wave in Indonesia economy. So Islamic bank, Islamic economy is not a competitor. Yeah. We are not going to defeat convention. We are going to be hand in hand with convention. So, and then I also appreciate analysis taken by the book, like data envelopment analysis, DEA, which is good, but we need to realize that the DEA method is comparing efficiency of banks among a certain community of banks. So for example, we can also find the efficient banks out of an efficient bank. So we can have an efficient bank and we can have the most efficient of the inefficient bank in a community or in a set of sample. So we need to enlarge or we need to comprehend the analysis of DEA with other sort of methods. For example, we conduct interview or we can have some focus group discussion to answer the findings that we have from the methods being employed in the books. Anyway, I would like to congratulate again Professor Suzuki and Dr. Sigit for having a very tremendous book. And hopefully this book can support the development of Islamic economy in Indonesia. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you so much, Dr. Rifki. So there are some good points that you made there. And yes, it is true that Islamic banks and conventional banks should go hand in hand, right? Okay, and of course, the government should fully support the growth of Islamic banks in Indonesia. Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Rifki Ismail, Director of Islamic Economic and Finance Department, Bank Indonesia. Now, we'll move on to the next speaker. We will have Dr. Rahmatini Kasri. Dr. Rahmatina Kasri. Dr. Rahmatina, Assalamualaikum. Dr. Rahmatina, can you hear my voice? Assalamualaikum, Bu Rahmatina.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay, Alhamdulillah. So, thank you for joining us, Dr. Rahmatina. So, Dr. Rahmatina Akasri is the head of Pusat Ekonomi and Business Syariah, Universitas Indonesia. So, without further ado, Dr. Rahmatina, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you very much, moderator, for the opportunity. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Honorable Dr. Sigit Pramono and Professor Yasuki Suzuki. Honorable members, Professor Doro Jatun, which is also my lecturer in University of Indonesia. Professor Bakar was my back in International Islamic University of Malaysia. Dr. Suminto, Mr. Kemal, and my fellow panelists, Dr. Rifki, Prof. Eis, and Mr. Herwin. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is an honor for me to be invited to book launching. Dr. Sigit Pramono was my senior at Faculty of Economics, Universitas Indonesia. And if I can say, he is one of the pioneer and respectable Islamic economists in Indonesia. Professor Suzuki is also a very respected scholar, and we learn a lot from your work, Prof. I think last time that was in Jakarta, 2018, when our center organized an international conference on Islamic economics, banking, and finance. And then allow me to congratulate Dr. Sigit Pramono, and Professor Yoshishi Suzuki for writing and publishing this great academic contribution. I think the book is a very important topic, 1 million questions, according to Mr. Herwin, which have long puzzled academics and policymakers in Indonesia. That is the low level and even stagnancy of penetration of Islamic banking in Indonesia, which is claimed to be the largest Muslim country worldwide, despite much effort being done by government, regulators, and various stakeholders. I myself have written several papers regarding Islamic banking in Indonesia, some of which are quoted in this book. Thank you, Dr. Sigit and Professor Suzuki. I discuss about growth, risk, and even corporate governance of Islamic banking in Indonesia. And the same questions raised, yet I still could not answer them satisfactorily. And therefore, I sincerely congratulate Dr. Sigit Pramono and Professor Yasushi Suzuki for their courage, for their commitment to take responsibility, to study, to write about this very important and challenging topic. Now, the main questions of the book, how can we make sense of this extraordinary level of Islamic banking deepening and the slow paced growth of Islamic banking in Indonesia? The 1 million question. Now, different from most studies which utilize the neoclassical approach, this book mainly drawn from the traditions of institutional economics, which are concerned with the rules or mechanism of creating the incentive and trade for economic players. The author hypothesized that Islamic banks must earn the extra income as earned by conventional banks. They call it as Islamic bank rent, so that Islamic banks may maintain their franchise value as prudent Sharia compliant lenders. The authors assume that insufficient provision of the Islamic bank rent opportunity may have lost Indonesia's Islamic banks the incentive to learn and to improve their skills and capacity. They further argued that Indonesian regulators could not correctly institutionalize a profit or rent opportunity to be captured by Islamic banks for the purpose of incubating the Indonesian Islamic banking industry. Now, in trying to answer the questions, the puzzle solved, the authors carefully write a comprehensive explanation through the theory and practices of Islamic banking in Indonesia in 10 chapters and one epilogue or summary chapters from the genesis and socio-development context of Islamic banking in Indonesia, reviewing related literature, conducting quantitative and qualitative analysis of various aspects of Islamic banking, such as financial performance and stability, competition, efficiency, and structural dilemma of Indonesia's Islamic banking. Now, I could say that the detailed examination and comprehensive scope of the book is one of the main strengths of the book written by Dr. Sigit Pramono and Prof. Suzuki. Now, the other strength would be the methodology and academic approach is taken. It challenges the neoclassical approach and offers the new institutional economic perspective. It also employed both quantitative and qualitative analysis, the Herfindahl index, model, and so on. Now, the other thing that I like about the book is that it challenges and intentionally invites, hopefully, productive feedback. For example, in page 104, the authors write, we propose a view that Indonesia's Islamic banking industry has been trapped into a structural dilemma and hypothesize that Indonesia's decentralized and fragmented political structure is reflected in this dilemma. We have to admit that this view entails further testing and discussion. And then another challenge in page 115. There is a room to discuss the phenomenon of the low penetration of Indonesia's Islamic banks from a hypothetical perspective. In that, Indonesia might be trapped into a mechanism equilibrium between Sharia compliance and Sharia-based Raf al-Haraj, that is remove unnecessary hardship principle in fiqh muamalah as the benchmark. Now, this is another challenge launched by the book. So this is another thing that I like about the book. And in terms of language, I have to say that the language is relatively easy to understand. The narrative of Genesis of Islamic banking development written in this book is easy to read and understand. The summary section in each chapter helps ensuring proper understanding of the chapter itself. And actually, chapter 11 provides a good summary of the findings of the book. And finally, as of recommendation, the author suggested that some affirmative policies for the development of Indonesian Islamic banking is a necessary condition. And the specific recommendations, there are 4 or 5 of them, if I'm not mistaken, some of which have been implemented recently. It's worth to be considered by policymakers and also academic debates. Now, I note one weakness of the book, which is perhaps one weakness. For an academic and economic textbook, perhaps more pages, more elaboration on the methods, mathematical equations could be added for an academic economic. More samples need to be added, not only comparison with Malaysia, as pointed by before, because Malaysia has different political and socio-economic context with Indonesia. So more comparison to be added in the future. And perhaps the analysis could also be linked more to the notion of justice, which is one of the most important principles of Islamic economics. For example, does providing economic rent ensure justice or opposite in the short run or in the long run? Now, this is something worth investigating in the future. Finally, I would like to say that I enjoy reading the book. I find it a very useful book for future reference, and I believe other readers would enjoy it too. And therefore, I strongly recommend researchers, lecturers, students, and other academic community, as well as practitioners and policymakers to read this important book. With that, I'd like to end my sharing. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you so much, Dr. Rahmatina Al-Kasri, for outlining the books and the recommendations. So Dr. Rahmatina Al-Kasri, the head of Pusat Ekonomi and Business Syariah, Universitas Indonesia. Thank you so much. And coming up next, we have Professor Dr. Ois Amalia. Okay. So Professor Dr. Ois Amalia is head of doctoral program Sharia Banking Faculty of Economics and Business, Universitas Islam Negeri Jakarta. Assalamualaikum, Professor.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay, Professor, the floor is yours, Professor. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Honorable Chairman of School of Islamic Economics, Indonesia, Dr. Sigit Pramono. Honorable keynote speaker, Professor Dr. Rojatun Kunchorojaki, main speakers, Dr. Muhammad Daud Abu Bakar, Professor Dr. Yasusi Suzuki, Mr. Kemal Istanbul, and Dr. Suminto. The author, all discussants, and all participants in this webinar. First First of all, thanks to Allah for the mercy, blessings, and the helpfulness we can meet in this book discussion. It is honor and I'm delighted as one of the discussion to give my opinion and perspective for this book. The great appreciation for this book entitled Growth of Islamic Banking in Indonesia Theory and Practice. This book is enticing since written by Dr. Sigit Pramono from SEBI, School of Islamic Economics Indonesia, and Professor Dr. Yasushi Suzuki from Asia Pacific University, Japan. Thinkers and scholars who are not from Muslim majority countries but have a high interest in Islamic economics and finance issues. This book provides a great academic contribution in the field of Islamic banking, in particular, creating a bridge between the theory and practice of Islamic banking in Indonesia. This book can also be used as teaching material in classroom by students, researchers, lecturers, and also practitioners, and as a reference in policy making for strengthening Islamic banking in Indonesia. In my perspective, the strengths of this book are: first, the approach is the focus on the main issues of interest related to Islamic banking in Indonesia. This book consists of 9 themes, which are Indonesia Islamic banking, Sharia implementation, genesis and socio-political context, recent development of Indonesian Islamic banking, the economic realities, theoretical background and review of related literature, comparative study of Islamic banking regulation framework in Indonesia and Malaysia, analysis of financial performance and stability of ASEAN Islamic banks, analysis of the dynamic concentration and competition level of Islamic banking sector in Indonesia, comparative analysis of the operational efficiency of conventional and structural dilemma of Islamic banking, hypothesis explaining the low penetration of Indonesian Islamic bank, Sharia compliant benchmark, and Sharia based Raf al Haraj benchmark on prohibition of riba. Second, this book is written critically, open-minded, objective in analyzing in a various problems which face in the development time of Sharia banking in Indonesia. Furthermore, the book analyzes some approaches that are from social history aspects, socio-politic in the fundamental development of Sharia banking in Indonesia, regulation framework, fatwas, and the structural gap between the theory and practice. This book provides a strategic solution to the gap between theory and practice, as well as between pragmatic and idealistic expectation. Third, analysis done from the Islamic teachings, which consist of Sharia and moral beliefs that can be spirit, that can be not spirit, with paraphrasing Sharia from Islamic thinker as Ibn Qayyim al-Jawziyah and al-Ghazali. Sharia has rules which emphasize on the effort to achieve human welfare physically and mentally, balance, balance between the world and the hereafter, justice, compassion, and wisdom. The objective of the Sharia is to promote the well-being of all mankind, which lies in safeguarding their faith or hifduddin, their human self or hifdun nafas, their intellect or hifdul akal, their posterity or hifdul an-nasal, and their wealth or hifdul mal. Further analysis is to confirm that the basis of Islamic banking operations must refer to the values of the Sharia itself, be free from the element of interest, gharar, maisir, applying Sharia contract such as mudarabah. Investment are only made in commodities that are halal and tayyib. The benefit of the public interest of or maqasid Sharia should be the goal of developing an Islamic economic system, including Islamic banking. Practically, to maintain Sharia compliance in Sharia banking is guided by the existence of fatwa issued by the National Sharia Supervisory Board, the Indonesian Ulama Council. Since January 24, 2004, Fatwa number 1 of 2004 concerning the prohibition of interest. This is an agreement of Indonesia ulama apart from the dynamic of different views of scholars regarding the prohibition of bank interest itself. Yeah. And Islamic banking or Islamic finance is the outcome of religion in banking. Number four, comparative analysis between Islamic bank and conventional bank in Indonesia to review the ratio of return on asset, operational cost to operational incomes, non-performing financing, and the financing to deposit ratio from 2003 until 2018. Market share area banking is developing too slow. It can be seen 2003 is 0.7%. In 2010 is 3.2%, and in 2018 is 5.9%. Therefore, it can be concluded the development of Sharia bank is better since the existence of law number 21st of 2008. Analysis can be seen from looking at the development of Islamic banking performance in various countries. Indonesia is still a lot behind. According to the Global Financial Development Report 2018 and 2020, the national financial sector in Indonesia reached only 75.1% of GDP. This is still far behind other countries such as Singapore, Malaysia, Philippines, and Thailand. Indonesia today has a vision supporting the realization of Indonesia as the center of Sharia economic and finance of the world through the development of fair and equitable Indonesia economic and finance to grow, consumerate, and sustainable in accordance with Sharia values. We have many challenges. There are recognition of Industry 4.0 and sustainable development goals, and for Islamic finance tool for sustainable development goals. They are the fundamental principles underlying Islamic finance are agreed assets to achieve the sustainable development goal. They are financial stability, financial inclusion, reducing vulnerability, social and environmental activities, infrastructure finance. Fifth, the most interesting part is comparing of Islamic banking regulation framework in Indonesia and Malaysia. A fundamental difference of regulation Islamic banking. Malaysia government of course and initiative the political will its Islamic bank as well as for developing the infrastructure. Here, Malaysia Islamic banking was respected in its political patron clean structure of promoting the government performance for economic interest. Since Indonesia economic banking is sluggish due to less political will and regulation, so it needs affirmative action to accelerate the Islamic banking growth in Indonesia. The area of improvement for this are there are many important issues, but the understanding is limited and not deeply. The theory needs to be explored more, aligned to the practice, especially in the part of Sharia philosophy in economic and banking. Therefore, this book is very recommended to be read in order to enriching the knowledge of Islamic banking. This is from my perspective. I apologize for any mistakes in this presentation, and thank you for the opportunity. And I'm very glad to be the part of this insightful webinar. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Professor Dr. A. Samalia, for sharing the comprehensive review of the book as well as the growth of Islamic banking in Indonesia. Thank you so much, Professor. Next, we will have our last discussion, okay? Our last discussion, and that is Dr. Sigit Pramono, who is the author of the book and the chairman of SEBI School of Islamic Economics and writer of the book. Okay. Assalamualaikum, Dr. Sigit.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
How are you?
Fine, alhamdulillah.
Okay. Good. All right, Dr. Sigit, the floor is yours.
Yeah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Well, first of all, let me convey my deepest feeling of happiness at this moment. I have no words actually to convey my highest thankful to my beloved Professor Yasu Suzuki, who always become a role model in academic activities, and his wonderful dedication, a great inspiration, and lovely kindness to all his students. At this moment, I feel I'm too brave actually to put my name in front of his name in this book. I'm really fortunate actually that I have a golden opportunity to working together with Professor Suzuki to write this book. As I think actually this book come with two things in my history of life. The first thing is that my PhD journey at university, Islamic Asia Pacific University, under supervision of Professor Suzuki. And then the second one is this book try to cover the history of Islamic banking development, especially during the very important period, I think, during 2008 until 2019. But I will please me to express my expression in the first history. I learned much, many things about the academic attitude from Professor Suzuki. As we know, myself and Pak Suminto, and also our brother Dr. Bin Hadi, is three Indonesian students who has finally finishing our PhD study under Professor Suzuki. So we know how Professor Suzuki groomed their students. And also in my life, we can see how the sincerity of Professor Suzuki to give his knowledge and sharing inspiration for the student. Even for myself, I think he very concerned and helpful for my family. I think maybe the first time PhD student has finished their FIFA, and Professor Suzuki posting in his Facebook what he say in this moment just now. Dear Rufida-san, Rufida is my wife. The successful of Sigit in this PhD journey is also your achievement. It is like really wonderful that how he treat my study in Islamic Asia Pacific University. Also in this book, actually, I learned many things about academic tradition and also academic works. In one day, when I have stuck with this assignment of the books, Professor Suzuki in Jakarta in one day, he said that in Indonesian, he said that Sigit, Anda sibuk sekali ya, tidak punya waktu untuk menulis buku. In Indonesian maybe not friendly, but it is make me consider what in Islamic tradition we have advice or wisdom from Khalifah Ali bin Abi Thalib, anhu, type the knowledge in writing it. Tulislah ilmu dengan menuliskannya. Ikatlah ilmu dengan menuliskannya. So Professor Suzuki always motivate me, and this is the great point. After that, in every night, we have sending emails, discussion, until finally this book is with the light of the day. So this is the first history about this book. So please allow me again to convey my highest appreciation to Professor Suzuki and also his family, Mrs. Akiko. Hopefully, our friendship and academic cooperation will go further. And also, I would like to convey my heartiest gratitude to Professor Dr. Doro Jatun, a prominent scholar who put forward, give forward for this book, and also for our teacher, Dr. Daud Bakar. And also, I think all of respected scholar and distinguished speaker now, Dr. Suminto, Pak Kemal Stambul, and also Pak Herwin, Dr. Rahmatina, Professor Uis, and also I think Dr. Rifki Ismail, who always motivate me to write this book. The second history, actually, this book try to capture a history of Islamic banking development in Indonesia. Let me just highlight another history in this book. It is a history of Indonesian Islamic banking development in the period 2008 and 2019. In fact, we have faced a structural dilemma, as Dr. Rahmanitana has said this point. A structural dilemma we express in chapter 9 in this book. Actually, in fact, we note that unfortunately, Islamic banking development has like gloomy prospect in this period. Let's say we have lower efficiency level in comparing to conventional one. And also we have high cost of fund in comparing to conventional one. And another one is that we have small bank trap, which cause that we have limitation in many banking opportunity. So after more than 3 decades of Islamic banking establishment in Indonesia, so we have concern at this point, and the big puzzle in this book has tried to discuss and to bring the recommendation in these issues. So we need a new momentum actually to boost and to enhance our growth in Islamic banking development in the future. We hope this book can contribute to bring the framework of Islamic bank rent theory as discussed in this book, as basically we concern about the incentive mechanism. So Islamic banking need adequate incentive, adequate profit to ensure that they will run well, to have a good service to the customer. In this way, at the end of this discussion, I think it is a good momentum for us in this beginning year that we have a new Islamic banking measures from 3 Islamic banking. So we hope we have a good challenge to the future of Islamic banking in Indonesia. Thank you very much for all participation and support for this launch of the book. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Sigit, and congratulations to Dr. Sigit and Professor Suzuki for finishing the book. Okay, so it's a kind of inspiration to see the relationship between teacher and student there, between Professor Suzuki and Dr. Sigit as a student. Okay, so it inspires us as students as well as teachers. Okay. Barakallah, barakallah.
Amin. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, now we comments and feedback about the book. So the first book. So the first active participants. Okay. You're going to have active participants right, so we will have the first active participant is Dr. Imam Saptono. Okay, Dr. Imam. First, I go the active
Teguh Saptono.
Assalamualaikum, Dr. Imam.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Alhamdulillah. Okay. Thank you, Dr. Imam Teguh Saptono, for joining us. So, Dr. Can you hear my voice, Doctor? Doctor. Hear me, Doctor?
How is
Can
my
you
voice?
hear my voice, Dr. Imam?
Yes, but it is not quite good. There is a lag.
Yes, it's loud and clear. It's loud.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. Okay, Dr. Imam Teguh Saptono, the Vice Chairman of Badan Wakaf Indonesia. The floor is yours. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Okay. First of all, on behalf of the Indonesian Wakaf Board, we congratulate the author and welcome the publication. Honorable speakers, panelists, authors. May I say that it is in terms of content, the development of Islamic bank in Indonesia can add to the scientific power of the institutional field. When the growth of Islamic is driven by the movement of the Ummah, bottom up compared to the other countries which are more top down or driven by the interest of capital owners. While in terms of publishing, this book is very unique, where the Wakaf approach has this case, it is the Wakaf of knowledge or thought. It is hope that with this model, this book will be able to inspire the development of Wakaf in Indonesia and get rid of the old stiffness where Wakaf is only done for mosques, prayer rooms, homes, or madrasah. I'm sure that the presence of this able to give honor to the scientific repertoire of Islamic banking and Wakaf movement in Indonesia. Thank you. Again, congratulations. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Next active participant will be Professor Dr. Umar Lubis. Somebody can hear my voice. She is Professor, can you hear my voice? Professor Amani? Oh, you can.
Yes.
Okay. Assalamualaikum, Professor.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Congratulations.
Sorry, we cannot hear you yet, Professor. Sorry.
There is the feedback of the sound.
Okay, Assalamualaikum, Professor.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay, yes, thank you for joining us, Professor. This morning we are having this book launch, and then please share with us your comment or feedback about the book. Go ahead, the floor is yours, Professor.
Thank you very much. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. Amma ba'd. Honorable keynote speakers, discussants, distinguished participants, and respected authors of the book. The book is entitled The Growth of Islamic Banking in Indonesia, Theory and Practice, published by Routledge. I thank the School of Islamic Economics, SEBI, Depok, West Java, for investing me to attend this book launch. This is a remarkable achievement that the rector or the head of SEBI Islamic Economics School write this book with Professor Yasushi Suzuki from Ritsumeikan, Asia Pacific University, Japan. This book emphasizes the impact of Islamic economics in Indonesia and underlines some values from the book. First, faith strengthened. Indonesian Muslims have found more freedom in the progress of Islamic economics and banking. Secondly, elevating the contribution of Islamic economics in national and international economy. Thirdly, with the advent of technology, Islamic economics enter digital realm and e-commerce. Fourthly, optimism in finding solutions to legal and social gaps in constructing Islamic economics ecosystem. Recently, we witnessed the merger of 3 state-owned to be a big one in the region, inshallah. This shows the extraordinary rise of Islamic economics industry. Finally, as the coordinator of Cooperatives, supervised 80 private Islamic higher education institutions, areas in Jakarta, Banten, and also Depok from West Java. Yeah, and as director of Sharif Dayatullah State Islamic University, Jakarta, I congratulate Dr. Sigit Pramono, PhD, and Professor just successful publishing the book. Yeah, to write this important book, and I also appreciate that the authors will donate the royalty of the book to charity purposes for endowments and also other humanitarian aids, especially for improving the quality of education in Indonesia. May Allah, yeah, may Allah accept all our good intention and deeds to the benefit of the community. May Allah bless all of us and all our efforts and give all us good health. And what we seek is the consent of Allah subhanahu. Thank you very much for this opportunity and all the success for Mr. Sigit and all of the Islamic, the School of Islamic Economics. Thank you very much.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you so much, Professor Dr. Haja Amani Lubis, Director of UIN Tarik Hidayatullah, Jakarta. Our next active participant is Dr. Mahmudi. Dr. Yon Mahmudi is the head of Middle East and Islamic Studies SKSG, University of Indonesia. Assalamualaikum, Dr. Yon.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Alhamdulillah. Thank you for joining. Okay. Dr. Yon, go ahead. The floor is yours.
Okay, thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Distinguished guests, speakers, and attendants, many thanks for the invitation for me to give, I think, very quick comment on this book. But let me first to convey my congratulations to my colleagues, Dr. Sigit Pramono and also Professor Suzuki for the launching of the book entitled The Growth of the Islamic Banking in Indonesia, Theory and Practice.
Dr. Yon, sorry,
Yeah.
but I cannot hear you guys.
Okay. Can you hear it now? Yeah.
Yeah. It is
Okay,
good
then.
now.
Okay. Yeah, we hope that this book will give new perspective on the development of Islamic banking in Indonesia, and so about the model, I think, make the Indonesia as model in developing Islamic banking, because we also hope that our students can use this part of the very useful literature, and they can avoid to buy or to use this book as part of their academic reading. And lastly, we also want to emphasize the philosophical of the establishing of Islamic Bank, that not only to make the people in general, not only Muslim, to have the economically better, economically Islamic in practice, yeah, but also, as the state in the book, the philosophy of the Raful Haraj, to lift the burden, the hardship of the people, can be implemented. So the people, Muslim, and all the human being also will benefit from the reason of the Islamic Bank right now. Thank you very much, and again, congratulations to Dr. Sigit for the launching of the great book published by prestigious publication Rootslate. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much, Dr. Mahmudi, the head of the Center of Middle East and Islamic Studies, SKSG University of Indonesia. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are now opening question and answer to you all. So if you would like to ask questions, so you can simply raise your hand or type your questions in the chat room. So we'll select some questions, okay? But due to limited time, we will only select some of them. So hopefully there will be another forum in the future that we can answer your questions. So go ahead, if you have any questions, you can raise your hand. Oh, okay, that's Mr. Lutfi. Oh yeah, okay. Assalamualaikum, Dr. Lutfi.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Alhamdulillah. Okay, I know Pak Lutfi, yeah, because he is one of the lecturers of Islamic economics. So I also like to extend my wishes, congratulations, Dr. Lutfi, for finishing your study in Griffith University.
Thank you so much, Dr. Dani.
Okay, go ahead, Dr. Lutfi.
Well, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Just quick question. Firstly, I would like to congratulate Dr. Sigit and Professor Suzuki for this outstanding book. I'm really proud to be in SEBI because Pak Sigit is one of our real model here. So really, this is very important achievement. That is why we really proud of you, Pak Sigit, and hopefully all of our colleagues in SEBI and other university will following your achievement. I tried to scanning from the book and found actually the book provides succinct argument and analysis provided very clearly, but perhaps just a quick view that I can suggest here. Firstly, in chapter 4, for example, you introduce a new concept of Islamic bank rent. I guess the reader of this book will get more benefit if you provide like a simulation on how Islamic bank rent can be applied. This is my first question. And secondly, another interesting conceptual matter is presented in chapter 10. The concept of Raf'ul Haraj, or removing the hardship. Just quick question then. What immediate effect that can be expected from this application of Raf'ul Haraj? And lastly, do you think that any Islamic banking model that fit and appropriate to accelerate the growth of Islamic bank in the future in Indonesia? Do you think, for example, PTPN Syariah can be one of the model because it perform well financially and socially? I think all of these three questions enough, and thank you so much for this opportunity. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you so much, Dr. Lutfi Hamid. The next question, okay, from Dr. Murniati. Dr. Murniati. Oh, Associate Professor Dr. Murniati Muklis. Assalamualaikum, Dr. Murniati.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay, so Dr. Murniati is the rector of Tazkiyah, yeah, Tazkiyah. right, Doctor. So go ahead, Doctor. The floor is yours.
Yeah, Alhamdulillah. Thank you so very much for inviting me to this prestigious event. And again, I would like to congratulate the authors, Professor Suzuki and Dr. Sigit, or I call him Bang Sigit, uh, who is like my own brother, who's been inspiring me with his hard works and contributions in the many areas of Islamic economics and finance and accounting. And again, I'm very impressed with the publications. And of course, as director of the Institute Agama Islam Tazkiyah or Tazkiyah Islamic University College Bogor, I would like to take this book as one of our main references in the curriculum that of course, we have students who are studying Islamic finance and masters or both masters and bachelor degree students. And because the book is very, very resourceful. And the program, I would like to appreciate the program as at the same time is in the same launching in the palace where the president just now launched the national campaign on cash wakaf. And I think this is in line with the book that has encouraged us as well to the social finance, not only commercial finance. Um, just like, I would like to see how you, I know that Indonesia and Malaysia in the chapter 5, for instance, in the comparative study of Islamic banking regulation frameworks in Indonesia and Malaysia have been actually your focus. And I think this is quite interesting. Although we understand that Indonesia and Malaysia have different legal system and different legal history. So I would like to, get the authors actually, what is actually the motivation or the motive of writing these two different pictures of legal system. Of course, we understand that we are neighborhood, so it could be that we learn something from Malaysia, and we've been learning from Malaysia. So that is actually my questions. And again, I would like to appreciate and thank everyone also who have been giving a good comment. I've been actually quite insightful from the beginning. I've been monitoring and listening to many speeches. And again, congratulations. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you so much, Dr. Murniati Muklis, Rector of IAI Tazkiyah, for the question. So I'm going to give the opportunity to the authors. Actually, I was going to ask Professor Suzuki, but it seems that there's another agenda. So we just we still have the other one, the other author, that Dr. Sigit, and also the panel, the other speakers. Maybe they would like to respond to the questions given by Dr. Lutfi and Dr. Moniat. So the first one may be about from Dr. Lutfi, Islamic Bank RAN. Okay. So Dr. Sigit, would you like to answer that?
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much for the concern and very impressive question and appreciation. First of all, to Dr. Lutfi, also give appreciation for your finishing PhD, Pak Lutfi. Deepest salam from our brother and sister in SEBI, and good luck for the future. And also about Islamic Bank RAN. Actually, this conceptual framework is raised by Professor Suzuki and inspired by many literature before, Exlis and also Akhan, that financial sector need adequate incentive, RAN, to ensure that they will run well. So this is the important point, I think, for the development of Islamic banking. At the end of the day, banking is a business, and economics is about incentive. If we are forgetting about the incentive in the market, so at the end of the day also, the business cannot run well. And this is the point that we have structural dilemma for Islamic banking, especially for in our research 2008 and 2019. Incentive in the sense, not always, in my view, a financial incentive or financial or in the term of financial. For many stakeholders, like say a government, if they would like to deliver a good policy, the politician, the cabinet, and also the legislative should have an incentive. Why they should have a good policy to develop Islamic banking? This some interesting if we consider about this political economic situation about Indonesia and Malaysia. So we have different view. For business manager, for bank manager, also they need this incentive. What we have learned here that Indonesian Islamic banking actually fail to utilize or to have leverage using conventional infrastructure. So we have left behind because we have like a high cost of fund and also a high cost for investment during IT system, during branch, and so on and so on. So Islamic Bank Rent actually try to highlight the issue about incentive for the market. So of course, this is like multi-discipline or multi-perspective about the incentive in the stand of economics. The second one actually, yeah, thank you, Pak Lutfi. Yeah, chapter 10, it is very interesting. I again appreciate that Professor Suzuki allow us to reproduce their initial paper, which is published before, and then we reproduce in this chapter for chapter 10. Basically, please allow me just read one wisdom in this chapter 2. It is common in Islamic studies that Ibn Qayyim al-Jawziyah in I'lam al-Muwafiqin, he said that the basis of the Sharia is wisdom and welfare of the people in this world and as well as the hereafter. This welfare lies in complete justice, mercy, well-being, and wisdom. And nothing that depart from justice to oppression, from mercy to hardness, from welfare to misery, and from wisdom to folly has nothing to do with Sharia. So I think the spirit of the chapter 10 to bring Raf al-Harj to how to ijtihad and fatwa is issued by the fatwa authorities should consider the basic of substance or we know about the market Sharia in economics. So solve the problem, giving what we call easier for the weakness and bring their support to have enhanced for the economy. Let's say it is actually what the point in economics is called quality of life. Bring quality of life in our world for the everybody, for humankind. So that's maybe Pak Lutfi Hamidi, we can say this one. Of course, we are again appreciate for and question. And for Ibu Dr. Kurniati, Ibu Ani, thank you very much. And warmest regard from our colleagues here to Itaskia and for your concern. Actually, chapter competition with Malaysia, we agree with you. We are not to apple comparison. We have a different landscape or different political system, different social culture, but we learn much from our brother sister from Malaysian government to catch up how to develop Islamic banking development in Indonesia. Thank you very much again. Hopefully you can explain the question.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Sigit, for the answer. Hope it answers the question given by Dr. Lutfi and Dr. Muriati. Okay, I should apologize to the others who would like to ask questions. I know that there are many questions there in the chat room, but due to the limited time, so I hope we can answer that in our next agenda, in our next forum. So we are just going to limit to 2 questions only. All right, ladies and gentlemen, as I told you earlier that there's going to be a sales of 10 limited edition book, okay? Only 10 limited edition. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, can you hear me now? All right. So, as I told you earlier at the beginning of our program today, that we are offering a limited edition of 10 books. So there are only 10 books, okay? And each book has the signatures of both authors, Dr. Sigit and Professor Suzuki. And not only that, we also will give out the signatures of Professor Dr. Darajatun Kuncoro Jakti and Dr. Muhammad Daud Bakar on the book. So actually, we only provide 10 copies of the book, but Alhamdulillah, it is beyond our expectation that there are 19 people already ordered to buy the book. 19 people to buy the books. So the book, it costs 5 million per copy. 5 million per copy, and there are already 19 people who have ordered the books. Okay, Alhamdulillah, thank you so much. Okay, and the profit of this sale, okay, the profit of this sale will go entirely to SEBI Social Fund for Wakaf Fund. Okay, right. So if you are interested to buy it, you can simply call Nasiha. So it is there in the running text, or it is not? Oh, it is there. Alhamdulillah. Okay, good. All right, everybody, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, honorable speakers. Now we are in our next session, that is art performance. Okay, thank you. Our next session will be art performance from SEBI School of Islamic Economics. So there will be Miss Zakia and Brother Azam who will read poetry. Okay, so Miss Zakia is one of the alumni of the Ritsumeikan Asia Pacific University, and she was one of the students of Professor Yasushi Suzuki. And Brother Azam, he used to join or sit in class in an elementary school in Beppu, Japan. Okay, let's enjoy the performance.
Seisho no Hikari. これは二人の人間の物語。文明の対話を始まり、なんて素晴らしい。Post-Keynesian, Altruism, Al-Itsar, もしくはリバとボロー。想像つくんだろうか。この永遠の同胞愛を決して羨ましがらないだろう。一粒の粒子が光の上に聖書の光を照らしていた。光の上の光。 人生の知恵を学び、永遠の道を歩み、神様の光。Singapore, Bandung, 2019.
Mihrab Cahaya Sensei oleh Sigit Pramono. Ini kisah tentang dua sejoli. Mereka memulai hiwar hadori. Amboi Serono Apatah Post Generation Altruism Al-Itsar At-Tawa Riba dan gharar. Can you imagine that? Engkau takkan pernah mencemburui Rabitoh ini. Sebulir zarrah telah menyalakan mihrab cahaya di atas cahaya. Nurun alam nur. Mereguk selaksa telaga kearifan. Menelusuri jalan keabadian. Cahaya Tuhan. Singapura, Bandung, 2019.
Okay, thank you so much. Ibu Zakia, are you there? Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay, Bu Zakia. Actually, I don't really understand what you were saying there in the poetry. Can you explain a little about it?
Yes. So yeah, the moment. So it's actually the poetry written by Pak Sigit.
Oh, that's nice. Okay,
Yeah,
barakallah.
for Suzuki Yasushi. So we translated it to Japanese, hoping that he could feel maybe the emotion that Sigit felt during writing this book. Yeah, I believe. Yeah, I believe this book writing journey very touching for Sigit, and particularly I think this is opportunity for him thank to Professor Suzuki Yasushi. And maybe so actually the translation version is the one say by Azam Indonesian. So I just say the same thing in Japanese. So I hope the audience will understand. And last but not least, I think this is actually poetry can express that feeling or Patrick's thinking that this is actually a big opportunity for fostering our empathy in this difficult situation where the uncertainty of corona pandemic has hit the economic crisis and problem. So we also hope that Islamic economic finance can contribute to the well-being and the economic prosperity to all of the humankind in the world.
Amin, amin.
Hopefully.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ibu Zakia, for joining. So actually, the meaning is very deep. And just now, Mr. Sigit just whispered to me. Okay. So the poetry is dedicated to all teachers and lecturers, especially Professor Suzuki, for his great dedication to the development of Islamic economics and his love and care to his students. MashaAllah. Okay. And when making this poetry, he was inspired by the message and wisdom of the Quran, Surah An-Nur, verse 35, telling about the importance of the guidance of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, who said, and I quote, Nur ala Nur, light upon light. Allah. Okay. Very nice. Okay. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we almost come to the last part of our session today. That is going to be a presentation actually by the Routledge, Taylor, and Francis Group Publisher. Is there anyone coming from Routledge, Taylor, and Francis Group Publisher? Okay, so it seems that no one is there. All right. So I think let's point out the, what is it? Oh, we have one. Okay. Hello, sir.
Yes, hello. This is Barry Clark, Managing Director for Taylor and Francis Routledge in Asia Pacific. I just wanted to say thank you so much to everyone involved in the book launch. I've been listening to the book launch, sitting here in Singapore, and many congratulations to Professor Suzuki and Dr. Segit for the book. And we're very proud at Routledge to be helping the community to engage with this topic and hopefully take Indonesia to another level of global awareness of the importance of Islamic banking. So we're very proud of our role in this journey, and we wish everyone and everybody on this call much luck and prosperity this year. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the support, sir. All right, so again, there is a 30% discount until 29th of January. Okay, so it's just a few days coming, yes? Only like today's 25th, 29th, so like 4 days. Okay, so it's very limited offer. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, honorable speakers, thank you so much for joining us today. Hopefully you will find our program beneficial. Thank you to all parties who have supported in our event today. It is highly expected that the publication of the book will contribute to education and science, especially the literacy of Islamic economic and banking in Indonesia. We hope that the strategic innovation through Wakaf intellectual property can inspire the development of Wakaf in Indonesia. Okay, let's end our program today by reciting Hamdalah and doa kafaratul majlis. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Selamat Pak Sigit ya.
Terima kasih ya, Mas Sigit.
Aku nuhun semuanya. Mohon doanya Bapak Ibu. Terima kasih bantuannya Pak Kemal, Ibu. Aku nuhun. Sami-sami Pak.
Sampai ketemu ya. Sampai ketemu.
Terima kasih Pak. Terima kasih semuanya Bapak Ibu, rekan-rekan di SEBI dan semua panitia yang luar biasa. Assalamualaikum.
Pandemi memberi dampak pada banyak pihak. Kita tidak lagi bisa beraktivitas normal seperti hari-hari yang lalu. Mobilitas kita harus dibatasi. Interaksi antar kita pun harus dilakukan dengan tetap menjaga jarak. Kehidupan ekonomi pun melambat. Bahkan tak sedikit di antara kita yang kegiatan ekonominya benar-benar berhenti. Kami sadari bahwa semua ini terjadi agar kita menjadi saling peduli dan saling melindungi. Semboyan gotong royong tak lagi bisa hanya menjadi kata-kata manis di ujung lidah. Kumakan optimisme dan terus kumandangkan paragraf-paragraf kebaikan.
Pak Herwin, thank you so much. Pak Indra, terima kasih Pak bantuannya, for participating. Pak Imam, jazakallah. Pak Indra Palatehan, terima kasih banyak. Pak Taufik, terima kasih. Pak Jajang, Ibu Fitri, terima kasih banyak. Rekan-rekan dari Bank Indonesia, terima kasih banyak. Pak Razikun, terima kasih banyak for joining us. Thank you so much. Pak Handi, terima kasih.